Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, great leaders and great scholars. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight as we are continuing celebrating Women's Month. We always do this in August, but as world, we celebrate women every month, every day. We don't wait for August. So thank you so much for joining us again tonight. My name is Mazwe Majola. I'm from the Worldwide Institute of Leadership and Development. We exist to develop leaders. We have realized that leadership is everything and everything is leadership. If we can fix leadership, we will fix our countries, our nations, our families, our institutions, our governments, communities, everything, because everything revolves around leadership. So thank you so much indeed for joining us again tonight. May I welcome our regulars and our members, men and women who join us every Wednesday, so as often as possible. We always learn a lot from each other, as you know. So thank you so much for joining us. And a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. If you are here for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. You will not regret, because this is our master classes every Wednesdays. We are here to learn, to unlearn, to relearn, and to co-learn with each other. We are a community of leaders and scholars. So indeed, you will enjoy, and please do participate. I know it may be your first time, and you may think that, I just want to withdraw and just let others speak. It's good to do that, but we also like to learn from you. There's a very good reason why you are here tonight. So what we'll do, we normally introduce the speaker or speakers or panelists. We let them to address us, and after that we take questions and answers and general discussions or conversation. So indeed, we are looking forward for a wonderful evening, as we always do every Wednesdays. Tonight, we are discussing a very interesting topic. The future of leadership is already present in Africa. It seems like there's anyone who doubting that Africa does have good leaders. So our speakers will be assisting us with this topic tonight, that actually we do have leaders in Africa. So the future of that leadership is already present. So it's a lovely to be tackling this question. So tonight we are moderated by Silindelwa Jabavu, who will be moderating for us tonight and speak tonight. She's got a guest that she'll be speaking with. Unfortunately, she's on her way. She's not here at the moment, but fortunately, we do have a special guest who will be speaking, and we'll start with her. I will introduce her, and then she can address us, and hopefully when Lindelwa joins, she will take over from there. So wonderful to have Sis Colleen Davis, and we are so great that Lindelwa invited her to come and tackle this topic with her tonight, as I'm saying that we are celebrating Women's Month, and it is so great to be having Colleen with us tonight. Colleen is a director of Vuselela Davis, and also she's an executive coach. She's a speaker and a facilitator. So we are so glad that we have Sis Colleen with us tonight, and we are looking forward to learn from her as I'm saying that when Sis joins, and then she will take over moderating. Colleen, thank you so much for availing yourself to be with us. We really appreciate, and we are so looking forward to learn from you. This is just a community of leaders. We've got different leaders here from all walks of life, uh, from public sector, private sector, academics, community, yeah, everywhere. That's where we are here. I see Sis Lindelwa, that she has joined us, but we'll just give a few moments to breathe while we are taking Sis Colleen Davis. And then after that, Lindelwa will take over. She will moderate. Over to you, Colleen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, and what a privilege it is to be here. I know for myself, I was on the M1 South earlier today, about an hour ago, and it was back to back, and it was, I think we were going about 5 kilometers an hour. So I would just like to welcome everyone and honor the sacrifice it is to be here at 6 o'clock. I know this is family time. I know many of you have had to travel from work, and I would like to invite everyone as I start to just take a deep breath. Take another deep breath and just allow the day that you've had to flow away and be welcome into the space. I'm going to share right now, and I look forward to this topic. And I know for many people, they go, you're an English South African. What are you going to be talking about? The future of leadership already in Africa. This is something I'm really passionate about. I believe that South Africa will be the older sibling of the world, and that we have so much to offer here. So I'm going to, I need to just minimize that. We have breathed, but I'm going to ask you to just, if you are comfortable, just place your hand on your heart, on your chest. Acknowledge you. Acknowledge the journey of how you got to here. I'd like to also acknowledge all the people who have come before us. I'd like to acknowledge the country that I'm in South Africa, the earth, and the creator of us and this beautiful planet that we are on. My ancestors, I'm a descendant of settlers. My great-great-grandfather had a bakery in what is now Nelson Mandela Bay. And on the other side of my family, they arrived as settlers in the late 18th century as well. And I want to acknowledge the pain and trauma that they brought with them into the space. And I would like to take this opportunity and just say, before we begin, that if anyone who looked like me, or sounded like me, has hurt you, that is not okay. And I'm really sorry that if that is your experience, that's your experience. I'm going to take you on a journey today. I'm going to look at the separation of us. I'm going to look at the failed system that we are plugged into. I'm going to look at the complexity of leadership today, how we can regenerate, and then I'm going to bring it back to Africa. this is a journey of despair in some ways, but it ends with hope. So I invite you to stay with us through this journey and not leave just yet. This journey has been long in coming. I remember when I was in learning and development in healthcare for over 15 years. And I walked into a meeting and there was this manager berating her team of managers. And the one manager was supposed to present a report, but she hadn't prepared it the way that she was supposed to. And in all honesty, I don't think she knew how to do it. When I walked into the room, you could feel the anxiety, you could feel the fear. As I walked in, this person was saying to this young manager that she actually was saying, you can leave the room. And I said, I've got to present something that is for everyone. Please, can I share it with everyone? And this manager looked at me coldly and said, no. Soon after that, that line manager left and she was broken. And I knew there was more to leadership than command and control. In another instance, I was under a different manager who placed me in a box. I had a lot of innovation. I'm one of those plant people with ideas and energy. I give off energy. And she stopped me. At every corner, she stopped me. And I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this. Well, what I did is I started developing myself as an influencer, someone speaking about leadership. And one day, I'm in healthcare and I worked in a hospital. I bumped into this person from Atlanta, Georgia, who'd also come from a healthcare background and also venturing into coaching and leadership. And she was in South Africa for a week and we bumped into each other. And that is Dr. Kim Hires. And together we created a framework called human-based leadership. And at the time, this was revolutionary. People weren't talking about human-based leadership, about the human being important and the development of the human as a leader, so that that leader can develop other people and then from there influence across geographies. And yet I felt there was something missing. There was something missing in it. And COVID hit. And then I found regenerative leadership, which I'm going to speak to you later about. But first, what I realized is that in the world today, we're divorced from nature. When I worked in learning and development, my office was a concrete block in the basement. Don't know if anyone else is in the basement. And there were no windows. I didn't know. There were thunderstorms, there were hailstorms, there was even snow. And I wasn't aware of it because I was in my little concrete box. When we arrive at work, the sun is just coming up. When we leave, the sun is setting. We don't actually connect to nature, and yet we're part of nature. When we're in nature, we feel so much better, but we're not bringing our children up to honor nature, to know nature. So how did we get here? How did we get to a point where in South Africa, we are only 1 or 2 generations away from nature being everything for us? And now our children don't even walk barefoot on the grass or the ground. We cut down all our trees. We don't notice the insects. What is happening here? And for us to look at this, we need to go back several hundred years and look at industrial revolution. We're now in the sixth industrial revolution. And we're looking at AI and we're thinking that is incredible. And it is incredible if it is to support the person and humanity. What has happened is through centuries of industrialization, we've had to deal with extraction, with patriarchy, colonization. If you think of leadership in this time, it was seen as more military. You command, you control. Even our language is mechanized, input, throughput, output. Our work cultures are punitive. And we have command and control. But how's that working for us? How's that working for you? Does anyone feel joy at work anymore? And what has happened with colonization, we have to bring colonization into this because colonization was designed to break indigenous structures apart. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You probably know more than I do. You have lived it. There's an interesting way of story of understanding colonization that really spoke to me. And that is that most times when I have people coming to visit me, I'm not sure if you're the same, that I put everything away. We clean the house, put things in cupboards, hide things under the couch, and we put out our best cuts and sauces and things like that. And we give the best food that we can. And when the guests leave, we breathe a sigh of relief. Whew. And we do what families always do, and it's all messy. But in colonization, the guests never left. And I'm acknowledging those are my descendants. And instead, we took over the lounge, the kitchen, and everywhere and gave people a tiny little part and then expected them to serve us for the rest of the time. And this has broken apart the way that Africa has been, or many of the indigenous societies and cultures in the global south, and I'm using that loosely. It broke apart what is respect, what is leadership, what is identity, and instead it placed on top of that a framework of something that would be entrenched in a capitalist society. And Edward Abbey, he suggested that exponential growth of a cell in a human body would be called cancer. In businesses today, we talk about exponential growth. You are not successful unless you have that six-figure salary and you are driving that Maserati and you are shopping at, what's coming to mind is Dior, you'll understand for the next slide, but this is not truth. It never was truth, but it has been placed on us as truth. There is a worship of capitalism. And I'm not saying this in a political space. I'm not saying this in a economic, like I'm not an economist. I'm just a person like you. And the truth is, we are all plugged into a capitalist society. And it brings about, it comes from 20th century leadership, where the resources are infinite, but we live in a finite planet. How is it infinite? We live in a place where everything is for sale. Everyone is for sale. We've lost our moral compass. We've lost our values. We've lost our ability to see what really counts. And instead, what happens is we eat it all and we eat it alone. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit like this is a lot of anxiety causing subjects. So can we just take another deep breath? Stay with me. Stay with me. We have to go through this. We have to look at it before we can find where we are. And I only have an hour. We could talk about this for longer, and we should. These are not subjects that we should hide under the carpet. These are subjects and the trauma caused by it that we really should be talking about. The thing is, we have a beautiful planet, and it is tiny. In the billions of galaxies that are in the Milky Way. Have you ever looked up at the stars? And look, if you're in the city, you only see 1 or 2 stars. You don't really realize when you are out in the countryside and you see all those stars that are in a stripe, that's the Milky Way. We have a few planets and 1 sun in our galaxy. There are billions of galaxies in that little Milky Way. And we have amazing telescopes, the Hubble telescope, the Webb telescope. This picture comes from the Webb telescope. And within here, you can see stars and galaxies. Our star is actually really small if you look at the universe. One of the interesting things is as far as the Webb telescope goes, it has yet to find a planet that is blue and supports life like ours. But what are we doing to our planet? We've made it hotter with all our gases. We are smothering it in plastic. We are taking as much as we can, and we're leaving nothing for the other non-human creatures who are here. 75% of winged insects since 1970 have become extinct. Extinct, that means they're no longer on this planet. And what does that mean for us? It means that we are not going to have food if we lose our bees and our other flying insects, not just our bees. Birds are not able to eat. We cannot have crops and grass. What are our cattle going to eat if there's no grass? So there really is, it's a knock-on effect. And what do? We use pesticides. And we think that we are amazing. We are dealing with the problem of the insects, and those pesticides goes into our water systems and then kill our wildlife in our waters, our biodiversity in our water. What is amazing about South Africa is we have such biodiversity. We're one of the few places in the world that still has biodiversity, and yet it's under threat because of greed, and also because we're not really looking after it as we should be, taking it for granted. 85% of life, biodiversity in our rivers is about to become extinct, is endangered. I don't know about you, but there are a few rivers around. I know the Yexke River is quite close to me, and when I look at it, it is stinking, it is dead and filled with plastic. Now, why is this important for us to know as leaders? Why do you think? Because we influence the area around us. We influence the people in our families, our communities. We influence the people in our departments, our organizations. If we close our eyes to what is happening in the world, we are already lost. So I've said about 75% of our winged insects, 90% of our marine animals are endangered. there's already a decrease in krill, which means that the blue whale is starving. Our polar bears are also starving. So are our penguins. They're all endangered because we take all the fish and we enjoy our calamari and we enjoy our fish. We don't think about it. Our pangolins that are so precious to us, our rhinos, they're being hunted and taken to other countries, as is the tiger. What we do is when the land becomes something to be owned, which is what industrialization has taught us, we take the land, we take off all the biodiversity, we leave nothing for anything other than the human being. We build our beautiful house and we create a monoculture around it so that it's better for us, it's easier for us. This is what's happening again and again all over the world. And we seem to just take it as normal. This is not normal. This is not normal. And the point is that the planet will survive, but people won't. Sub-Saharan Africa has been highlighted as a place that is going to be fully affected by climate change. We're already seeing it. Increased rainfall in places like KZN, decreased rainfall in the Free State where our maize comes from, in Botswana, in all of these areas. Are we ready for migrants who are searching for food? Are we ready for water being so precious because we're not getting it? What is our plan? What is our strategy? Who is advocating for the living planet in your boardroom? Who's talking about it? Are we talking about it? According to Gallup 2024, the Gallup report of employee engagement, only in Africa, 19% of employees are engaged, 62% are not engaged, and 18% are actively disengaged. 18% are thriving, 72% are struggling. 72% are actively looking to leave, which means that on this call, most people have sent their CV out a few times. 26% of people are actively angry at work. This is telling us that the system that we have is not working for the humans who are within it. And if you think about the language we use, it's very mechanized. You have a role. You are a cog in a machine. You are replaceable. Are you? No, you're not. You are unique. Work is something that is important for us as human beings because it helps us to achieve. It teaches us skills. It gets us to be part of community and work together as community. We've made it mechanized. And that's why we're burning out. I'll never forget the last time I burnt out. Every Sunday was hard for me. I was irritable. Every Monday morning, going to work, the last time I was in tears. I didn't want to be there. I was cynical. I was exhausted all the time. And I no longer cared. I no longer cared about colleagues. I no longer cared about even studying further. And that's burnout. And yet, on the way home, I suddenly had energy again. That's not living. That's not life. And that's not what we're here for. If we are able to connect and make a difference, we need purpose. We need joy. We need empathy and connection. But we are unable to have empathy and compassion for others if we're stuck in survival. And most people, especially in Africa and around the world, are traumatized in some way. That means that you are probably stuck in your survival brain. And what does that mean? That means that you have got cortisol all the time. You're looking for danger all the time. You exclude, you judge, you limit, you withhold information from others. You are probably dictating to people, criticizing, and it's all about me. And you don't trust. You don't trust others, and you judge others, and you judge yourself. When we're able to shift to our prefrontal cortex, that's when we have oxytocin. That is when we are able to appreciate, we're able to expand our knowledge, we share, we discover, we develop, we celebrate. That is where strategy, creativity, empathy is. When we judge others and judge ourselves and judge the circumstance, all we're doing is being triggered, and we can't care. We're not caring for anyone other than ourselves because we can't. And this is something that I do with my clients. When I am coaching executives, especially, and everyone, I will, for the first few sessions, we will look at self-awareness. Before we look at anything else, we look at how are you going to shift from survival to thriving. And the model I use is positive intelligence. I use that because it makes sense. If you're interested, let me know. My email address is at the end, and I'd be happy to share more. What is your favorite leadership model? Do you like servant leadership? Is it values driven? Are you transactional? What we've done because of industrialization and extraction, we have made the masculine traits of competitiveness, assertiveness, protective, goal-oriented, rational thinking, independent, looking only at one task and having a bias for action as the only way to lead. But that is so 20th century. If we stay there, we're not able to have the resilience and the ability to shift rapidly as we need. We've experienced with COVID how the world stopped, and COVID is a tiny wave in comparison to what is coming. Feminine traits are collaborative, receptive, nurturing, relationship-oriented, intuitive feeling, interdependence, multitasking, a bias for flow. How do we get those feminine traits? It's easier when we're combative and we are in control and we're in the survival part of our brain. The masculine traits are so much easier. It's easy to command and control. It's much harder to be collaborative. You have to know yourself in order to be collaborative. And we need both to be a strong leader. What is leadership? Leadership is about adding value to others, creating other leaders. If you are in a space where you are a gatekeeper, or you have a gatekeeper, you will know that it's a very toxic place and there is no growth. What is easier? What is better? Collaborative, caring, having a team that's thriving, that's not judging. We are now in a time of great complexity. We cannot take the complex and try and make it simple anymore. These are the planetary boundaries that have been crossed. If you look at the bottom, from 2009 to 2023. In 2009, we'd only crossed 3 boundaries. In 2023, we've crossed 6 of the 9 boundaries. Scientists are now saying that in 10, 20 years, the systems are going to collapse. That means that the organizations you are in will no longer exist because the way we are leading, the way we are working will not be able to survive. If you look at the other graph, you will see that there has been such rapid increase in surface temperature, ocean acidification, paper production, fertilizer consumption, all of these things, urban population. They're predicting that, I think it was in 30 years' time, 85% of people on the earth will be in urban areas. How are they going to eat? How are we going to survive? How are we going to thrive? What are we going to do in concrete? 21st century CEOs no longer are people who have knowledge of a business or business knowledge. Instead, they have to be able to be agile. They have to be able to build relationships, see ecosystems, be able to inspire, tell stories, so that the people around them will aspire to work together, collaborate in order to find solutions to problems we don't even know exist yet. This is why in 2015, they created the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals with the United Nations, all the countries, including South Africa, got together and said, by 2030, we will decrease. We'll have no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water, sanitation. And you can see all of that. Life below water is protected, life on land is protected, climate action is there, peace, justice, and strong institutions, affordable clean energy, etc., 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 reduce inequalities. And what happened? COVID hit, and now in the world we have such nationalism, protectionism, that we've gone backwards. When in 2030, we're now in 2025, in 5 years' time. This is why in 2022, the group got together in Sweden and they developed the Inner Development Goals. Now, the thing with the Inner Development Goals is they said, as I showed you with the neuroscience of your brain, if you don't care, you're not going to be able to act because you're going to be protecting yourself, your family from the rest of the world. And we're now at a point where we're too late. So what were they doing with the Inner Development Goals? They were looking at being as in relationship to self. Do you have an inner compass? Have you got integrity and authenticity? Have you got openness and a learning mindset, self-awareness and presence? Thinking, those are the cognitive skills, critical thinking, complexity awareness, perspective skills, sense-making, long-term orientation, visioning, relating to others, appreciation, connectedness, humility, empathy and compassion, as we were talking about, collaboration, communication skills, co-creating skills, acting, driving change, having courage, creativity, optimism, perseverance. So what they were saying is they were not prescriptive about how we introduce these. But in Africa, many people aren't even aware of this. This is happening in Europe, and I am in many of these places and spaces, and I'm holding space for people in Africa, but I should not be the voice from Southern Africa. There are so many of you that should be the voice, because otherwise people in the global north, they're trying to shift things and change things, but they come from a different background and they don't have the issues that we have. Also, every space has different strengths. So for us, we're good at collaborating and relating. But perhaps we could look at acting and thinking in your organizations, in your teams, in your communities. What do you need to work on? So this is not a bad program. If people are calling this out and saying it's a band-aid, there's so much more that needs to be done. So many people are talking about sustainability. It is the buzzword. If you look at this, and I use the baobab especially because for a reason is that the baobab is endangered. This is one of our icons, and it's endangered. Why? Because of climate change. So where we are in the conventional space, which is staying within the law. This is about depletion, degenerative, extractive. It's about take what you can. You own the land, you take whatever is on there, you mine it. You own a company who employs people, you own them. There's more like servanthood or slavery rather than an amazing collaboration and trust. We talk about green, but there's greenwashing. All green means is a little less impact. Then we're talking about sustainability, but that just means no additional harm. And I hope that I've been able to show you that we already passed that. Because in as much as this happened in 2015, we have caused more harm in the last 10 years. What about restorative? But this is doing things to nature. It's coming across as savior, I know, but not listening to nature. Nature has been around for billions of years, and we are nature. If you look at your body and the way it was designed and creative and what makes you relaxed and you can breathe is through things of nature. So what is regenerative? We need to shift towards, and I invite you to start opening yourself up to shifting towards regenerative, doing things as nature, learning from nature. In regenerative leadership, it means that we are learning through the principles, we lead through the principles of nature. There is a model that I'd like to show you. And for the academics on the call, please look these up. There's more and more research being done. The Bacana Tulip model shows the death of the one system, the hospicing of the one system, as there is an emergence of something new. And this is where we are. We have the pioneers who have started connecting and building networks. They're forming communities that are starting to practice, nourish, and grow in the regenerative space, moving beyond sustainability. And this is influencing the system. The system is not yet, we don't yet know what it looks like. Wouldn't you like to be part of that? To shift into something new? And I'd love to know what you're thinking. And at the end of this talk, please ask me questions. Let's engage. What does regenerate mean? Regenerate means to grow after loss or damage. Our world needs to regenerate. Did you know that your eye, every cell in your eye, regenerates every 24 hours? Our human body is incredible. Why are we wanting to make it a machine to add oil? We need lots more. We are a complex living system connected with other complex living systems plugged into ecosystems. When you're at work, your team is an ecosystem in a larger ecosystem of your organization, and your community is an ecosystem. So regenerative is a fairly new word. And it started in agriculture. So if you look at industrial agriculture, generally what has happened in the past is that they would take land, and this is what's happening in our rainforests. Our rainforests are like our lungs, the world's lungs, and we're destroying them at a rapid rate so that we can put agriculture. What's going to happen if you cannot breathe? If you have somebody who has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease like that and is unable to breathe without oxygen, that's what we are going to be like. So what previous industrial agricultural, it talks about eventually depleting the earth. You've got to then put fertilizer in, you've got to add things to it, versus what permaculture looks at is how do you put back into the earth so that you create sustainable human habitats and food systems. If you think of subsistence farming, this is where we are. But what is regenerative agriculture? It's about improving the soil, creating a closed system so that waste from one element is used as food for another. There is no waste. When at the beginning of the month, when I go shopping and I come back and I put my food away, there is more plastic that I'm throwing away from one-use plastic. It breaks my heart. And so I'm trying so hard to recycle, but we're drowning in plastic that doesn't need to be there. We are no longer in a time where we are using the waste from one system to use as food for another. How many of you compost? How many of you take what you use for supper, place it in a compost, and grow food? Let's look at a garden. Let's look at leaders as gardeners, because this is a very similar concept to regenerative leadership. Mark Kahn from Investec, he gives this analogy that a leader is a gardener, which means sometimes you have to prune, which means you have to cut some plants in order for them to grow. Sometimes you place plants, and in this we can say people, who should be in the shade, and we put them in the sun. They're never going to survive and thrive. Sometimes you put plants that should be in the sun, in the shade, and things like that. What do you think of that? Can you see that that could be, instead of a machine, that we could be gardeners? A regenerative leader is an ecosystems facilitator. Understanding the ecosystems around you and the uniqueness of that. That is why, if you are in a company that has many different offices all over South Africa, for example, you will know that the culture in Bloemfontein is different to Cape Town, is different to George, is different to Kanda, is different to Johannesburg, Tshwane, Mbombela. Why are we expecting everything to be the same, copy and paste? We have our own networking. In a forest, there's something called mycelium. And those are the fungus underneath the soil. And they communicate, they allow trees to communicate with each other through the forest. And if one tree doesn't have nutrients, other trees can send nutrients through the mycelium. We have that as humans as well, through our informal networking, our informal economy. We've got this. This is nothing new. So what are the principles of regenerative leadership? It's about holistic thinking, looking at the whole system, how everything is interconnected, systems thinking. But it's not just systems thinking, it's complex living system thinking. Are you able to adapt? There's more than agility. Looking at regenerative practices collaboration, co-creation, finding purpose and meaning. When we're able to have purpose, meaning, collaborate, we have joy. We have something to work towards. What does this remind you of? What have I talked about with the inner development goals, with the sustainable development goals, with regenerative leadership? Ubuntu. And excuse my pronunciation. Umuntu, ungumuntu, ngabantu. I am a person through other person. Ubuntu in Sesotho. In every single language in Africa, this philosophy is present in different formats.
I want to just acknowledge that with Ubuntu, there has been criticism saying that it's all very well to have something like that. And it's all very well to say, I am a person because of other persons, and this can lead to people taking advantage of it. If you're in a toxic environment, then other people around you are going to be toxic, right? So it's about, what are our values? What are our values that we have as people? What is our collective vision? What is it we want to be? And so I am inviting people to embrace what is within, to embrace a leadership that is going to bring life, new life, rather than just using what has been. So there were 3 more slides, and I will put in the comments my email address because I don't have it on me now as the presentation, but I'm happy to have any comments or, yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Colleen. Thanks a lot for your presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much for challenging us and for educating us on these important areas. Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're taking questions and comments and observations from what Colleen or presentation. Unfortunately, as I did say earlier on, that the session was supposed to be moderated by Sis Lindelwa. Unfortunately, she is with us, but she's unable to moderate as she's on the road, listening on the road, and maybe she won't be able to fully concentrate, focus on this session. Any thoughts on Colleen's session? Oh, Sis Lindelwa is here. Over to you, Sis Lindelwa, so she can be able to talk. Over to you, Sis.
No, I just want to apologize, Prof. I'm on my way from Joburg. I had a commitment, an urgent commitment from Joburg, but I want to also thank Colleen for a very, very comprehensive presentation. I will not be able to moderate now because I can't see the charts. I'm on the road, but I'm listening. I've been listening right through. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sis Lindelwa. Thanks a lot from there. Maybe before you go, Sis Lindelwa, I see some hands there. Any thoughts or any comment or any contribution on the future of leadership in Africa, and then we can take others. Sis Lindelwa, any thoughts on the topic at hand?
So yes, I agree that the current leadership that we have, current style of leadership that we have, which is masculine and very mechanistic, is outdated, especially after COVID. People have gone through a lot. I think we all agree that people went through so much, and therefore we need to bring out our feminine side, balance the feminine with the masculine in terms of leadership, and also look at regenerative leadership as a new way of leading. It's quite interesting, actually, Prof, because when we engage in global forums around leadership issues, the world is looking for different solutions. And it looks like some of the solutions that are going to work in future are coming from Africa. The way we lead, including Ubuntu, including ideas from indigenous communities and ideas from nature. It's quite interesting because you can learn so much from nature. Yeah, so that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sis Linda. Thank you. There was another hand there from Adedomula. Over to you, sir, Adedomula.
Good evening, Prof. Thank you so much, Mama Collins, for the presentation. I really learned a lot. The question is, actually, you asked from a slide, you asked what do we see? We didn't seem to answer the question. Can you please give us your thoughts about the picture, ma'am?
Yeah, is that the last slide?
I think if I remember well, it had is it hippopotamus? Then the lady and the gentleman sitting there.
So
that
this
slide.
was. So thank you for that. And once again, I apologize to everyone that my presentation crashed. What I was asking is all the things that we were hearing about, of inner development goals, of being awareness, the collective, having purpose. This is embedded in African communities and indigenous communities. So I was inviting people to see that instead of trying to take who we are and try and get a system that's already fallen, and try and be what others are, we should be ourselves. And that Ubuntu is part of that. Ubuntu is not the only philosophy in the world, but isn't it interesting that it is in every single African country and culture? And it's our strength. And it's what the Western world that has been industrialized for centuries has lost. And they are searching. They're searching for meaning. They're searching for collectiveness. And if you looked at the Gallup report, the world is lonely. So as leaders, how do we develop people? How can we be vulnerable and authentic in who we are? Rather than being the command, control, you should be yourself at home as you are at work. And it comes back again to values. What are our values? I hope that is helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Adedomala. Thank you very much. And thanks, Colleen. So with those very interesting there, Colleen, those masculine traits versus feminine traits. In your research, where would we find them more? Is it more African thing, or more in Europe, or cuts across everywhere where you'll find the leadership using mostly masculine traits over the feminine, or what you call, or what you describe as
I think
feminine.
thank you for asking that. It's a very good question. And I think if you look at the last century, from the destruction of communities and cultures, that is the masculine. It's the war, right? And yet, if you look at African culture, you have a combination of both for wisdom, for elders, right, in communities. But what we've done is we've sidelined it, and we have incorporated what we've seen. And what I have to say, that's my ancestors, my descendants. I mean, I'm the descendant of the masculine, the command, control, extract, take what you need. Don't worry about anything else. In Ubuntu, it's really interesting because it's also spiritual. It's also about the land. You're in community with the land as well. And that is the feminine. And in Women's Month, it's Women's Month. Let's not be afraid of the feminine, because if I'm got to build relationship, what am I using? I'm not using manipulation. I'm using influence. I'm using collaboration. I'm using empathy to connect to people, to get things done as a leader. And that's the feminine. So it's that combination. And that's 21st century leadership versus 20th century leadership. We've moved beyond.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my second question is it possible that you can find a woman but more practicing what you call masculine traits, vice versa, or where you can find men espousing and practicing more on the feminine traits rather than masculine or other traits, or is it more a woman, man, that men will be more masculine, female will be more feminine, or it doesn't matter, it's a matter of how someone is wired?
So this is not the masculine feminine is not about male or female. It's not about are you male, you should be male, are you cisgendered, are you it's not about that. They use they just use the language because it's easier to understand. Women traditionally are more caring, etc. But this doesn't mean that someone has to stay in their lane. It's not about, is the human male, or is the leader male or female? It's, are we using all the characteristics of a leader to get things done? And Gen Z is teaching us that actually, if we want to look at gender fluid, it's like, instead of, even there is research done that our brains are masculine and feminine. And some people can have a male body and have a lot more feminine brain cells activity, seeing the world more in that way, and vice versa. So I think we've got to be very careful not to place ourselves into boxes. And instead, it's like, how do we lead in a way that heals ourselves, our communities, and the land, so that in 100 years' time, we actually have thriving communities and not a desert. I'm not sure if that's answering your question.
Yes, thank you very much. It does. And thank you for that explanation, so that we know that, as you said, and I agree with you, both traits are important, needs to be used at any given time. There are times when there's a leader, whether you're a female or you're a male, when a situation or environment warrants that courage, you've got to be as courageous as a lion, but and then you've got to switch over when another situation warrants you that empathy and caring But whether it doesn't matter whether you are whether you're male or whether you're female. But thank you so much for that. I love those traits and the way you put them as well, that a leader needs to balance both. You need all of them. As I'm saying that, obviously, in terms of usage of them, it's as and when the situation warrants. You don't have to always be courageous wherever you go. There are times when you must be caring and empathy. There are times when you must be collaborative, but the other situation where they will need you to be is more independent. And but thank you so much for that. And any thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, before we close the session? I don't want anyone who must say that I wanted to ask this. Colleen is still here, so that we can. Let's see on the chat. Or Colleen has provided us with email address there. Maybe Colleen, you can just give us your closing remarks, and then we'll close the session after that. Any parting shots that you'd like to give us before we close? Thank you. If you can just unmute there, Sis Colleen. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you to everyone who was here. What I would love to leave with you is that you have the seeds of leadership and life within you. Don't be afraid of finding the values and discovering your own unique way of being a leader, and to bring regeneration into your lives and your organizations. And thank you for this opportunity to share this with you.
And thank you to you. Thank you so much for availing yourself. For instance, Lindela invited you. Thank you so much that you could come for a very informative and very insightful presentation you've given us. We'll cherish it, and we'll look at it. And thank you so much. And thanks, Lindela, for arranging Colleen. And sorry that you couldn't moderate as expected, but there will be another opportunity in next time. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight, especially those who were here for the first time. As I said, we do meet every Wednesdays. Please do join us again next week, Wednesday, for another powerful masterclass as we are celebrating a Women's Month. Thank you so much. The session is adjourned now until we meet again next week, Wednesday. Thank you. God bless you. And Kosi, Sigaleli Africa. May God bless our lovely Africa continent. Thank you and goodbye.